Hey, history buffs! Today, we're diving into one of the most intense and complicated conflicts in modern history, the Cold War. But what made this war different from others? It wasn't fought on battlefields with tanks and soldiers, it was a war of ideas, politics, and technology. Let's break down how two global superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, fought for control of the future without ever actually firing a shot at each other. The Cold War began right after World War II ended in 1945. The world was divided between two superpowers with very different beliefs. On one side, you had the United States and its allies promoting democracy and capitalism. On the other, there was the Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin, pushing for communism. Both sides wanted to spread their influence around the world, and this led to decades of tension and rivalry. The dividing line between the East and the West was called the Iron Curtain. Countries in Eastern Europe fell under Soviet control, becoming communist states, while Western Europe remained aligned with the US and democracy. Germany became the symbol of this division, with Berlin split in two by the infamous Berlin Wall. The world seemed to be on the edge of conflict, but instead of fighting directly, the Cold War was fought through alliances, proxy wars, and espionage. One of the key features of the Cold War was the arms race. Both the US and the Soviet Union raced to build bigger and more powerful nuclear weapons. Both sides knew that using these weapons would lead to mutual destruction, so instead of fighting, they focused on intimidation. But the Cold War wasn't just about weapons, it was also about technology, especially in space. The space race was all about proving which system, capitalism or communism, was superior. The Soviets made the first move by launching Sputnik, the first satellite, in 1957. But the US struck back by landing a man on the moon in 1969. Although the US and Soviet Union never fought directly, they supported opposing sides in conflicts around the world. These were called proxy wars. In the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, in the Vietnam War, 1955 to 1975, the US supported the fight against communism, while the Soviet Union backed communist forces. These wars were part of the global struggle between the two superpowers, but they had devastating consequences for the countries involved. One of the scariest moments of the Cold War came in 1962 with the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Soviet Union placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from the US. This led to a tense standoff between the US and the Soviet Union, with both sides preparing for a possible nuclear war. Fortunately, after days of intense negotiations, the Soviets agreed to remove the missiles, and the crisis was averted. But the world had come frighteningly close to disaster. By the late 1980s, the Soviet Union was struggling, and its control over Eastern Europe was weakening. In 1989, the Berlin Wall, the symbol of Cold War division, was torn down by the people of Berlin. This moment marked the beginning of the end for the Cold War. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, and the Cold War officially ended, leaving the United States as the world's only superpower. Even though the Cold War ended, its legacy is still with us today. The arms race led to huge advancements in technology, from space exploration to computers. But the rivalry between the US and Russia didn't completely disappear, and we still see some of those tensions in global politics today. The Cold War was a time of incredible risk, but it also shaped the modern world in ways we're still discovering. The Cold War was unlike any other conflict in history. It was a war fought with ideas, technology, and influence rather than traditional weapons. While the world came close to disaster more than once, it also gave us the space race and new technologies that changed the world. The Cold War reminds us of the power of diplomacy and the importance of understanding history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Cold War, make sure to hit subscribe for more fascinating history lessons. Smash that like if you're curious about the space race or nuclear standoffs, and comment below what the Cold War event you find the most interesting. I'll catch you on the next adventure through history.